Hello, viewers. Thank you for joining my views and news. Thank you for joining this live chat session. Can you hear me? Thank you for responding with yes. The topic of the today's live chat is a little shocking. A threat of new war in Tigray with a question mark, but the developments of the last 48 hours are very alarming. What is happening between Tigray and the federal government? We'll talk about that. Before that, let me welcome the participants who joined this live chat session. Samuel Falek is the first one who commented. Daniel Abate, second one. Daniel, I hope you'll stay in touch with me about Java's interview. Tekim Tafira, a regular participant. To welcome Tekim, Mulugata Shimalis, Addis Fantahon, Simon Tesfaye, Elias Adam, Yemesgan has joined too. Johannes Halley, Sam T, Nathaniel Abira, Bini Goitom, Baka Gabi, Danny, Emmanuel Sahle, Clip Comedy, Bintaiga. There's new war in Ethiopia and ain't no way, man. Yes, no way. We should all of us should say there should be a new war in Ethiopia. Though there is a war-like situation in Amhara, by the way. Uh, Sam T says you have more gray hair now. You're getting older. Yeah, getting old is uh, part of life. So don't be afraid of having gray hair. You should be physically fit. That is what matters. We have Paulus Evneto, Itihadin Hamza, Pronation, uh, Exaber Yemeskan says, Sajid, आप कैसे हैं? How are you, Sajid? I'm fine. मैं बिल्कुल ठीक हूँ, Yemeskan. Amane Nora says, hello, brother. Michael Kale, hello, Sajid. Is because of TPLF war caused Tigray people? I could not understand your question, your comment. There'll be no war, says Paulus. Dagmavi says, always appreciate the honest reports. Thank you, Dagmavi. Koriam, back after a little duration, after break of a few days. Welcome, Koriam. Welcome back. Jazz 2. Insai Ararsa says there will not be a threat for Ethiopia but for Tigray. General Komsa, Tigray will not side with Fano and enter the war. Betlemariam Kasa, thanks for update, dear Sajid. Thank you for joining, Betlemariam. Mulugata Shimalis, what do you think about northern Ethiopia? Yes, I'll talk about that. Topic is related to your question. Mulugata Shimalis, what do you think about northern Ethiopia? Liz Elias has joined too from Tigray. Hi, Sajid, she says. Speed 5 says hi, Sajid. Atto Addis joined too, says Happy New Year, Sajid. Manuel Jimane, while you are at it, give us a scenario of what would happen if TPLF decide to go to war again. Well, before we uh, start our live chat about the topic, just before this live chat, I received a letter written by the government. Pisseha Johannes has joined to Michael Kidane, Mary joined after break of few days. Daniel Abate says, what do you think about Somali and Somaliland development? Okay, I'll speak on that. I received a letter written by the government to Siam Mesfin's family. Siam Mesfin, the Minister of Peace, has fled Ethiopia. He has sought asylum, I think, or he will seek asylum. And government has told his family to leave the official residence which they are using. Same happened in the case of the other minister, deputy minister, Tadandia. He has been arrested and he is in prison now. Pro Nation says, hello from Nairobi. I'm your regular viewer. Welcome, Pro Nation. Taden is in prison. Taden's bank accounts have been suspended. His family have been told to vacate official residence. That is what is happening in the case of Sion Meswin, who has fled the country. Will his family be allowed to leave the country? That remains to be seen. But the government has decided that whoever is part of the government and he or she criticizes the government, the criticism will not be tolerated. And government has decided to take strict action. There could be others too in the government who could be targeted. So maybe that is why people are fleeing. Your mess fund is one example. There could be others too who have plans to flee the country because they're seen as pro Amhara, pro Amhara groups, pro Fano. That is what I received just a few minutes ago, so I thought of sharing it with you. EB says, what is your thought? There is recognition within TDF and Fano to collaborate in order to eliminate the brutality of Abiy Ahmed. Signs of this are evident on the ground. Well, EB, what are the signs evident on the ground? Fano stormed Dangala prison a few days ago, and from there they captured some Tigray-speaking ENDF members who they released. They contacted family members of those TDF, or not TDF, ENDF members, and the Tigray ENDF members were released with respect. On the other hand, we have been hearing from some Prosperity Party backed social media activists that some arms shipments have been captured in the Amhara region, which were sent from Tigray. We don't know how correct is this report, which was published by, which was a claim which was made by a Prosperity Party backed activists. If you ask me, are there any signs of cooperation between Fano and TDF on the ground? I have no such information. And I won't speak until I have some credible information about their alliance. We have been hearing about Fano's alliance with Afars. I think if you've been following the conflict in Amhara, you must have heard about this claim which was made a few weeks ago. But that is not what is the case. There is no alliance between Afar fighters and Fano fighters. Then, for the last 2 days, we have been hearing claims that Gumas are striking alliance with Fano fighters. Again, I rejected that claim in last night's live chat. There could be a few Gumas fighters joining Fano. It does not mean that Gumas groups have decided to make peace or to strike a deal with Fano fighters, because Gumas see Amhara Fano as a threat. That Amhara Fano could try to annex Metakal one day. I don't think Gumas would like to form an alliance with Fano. And same is the case with rumors about TDF Fano alliance. I'll speak on that in detail. Let's not be diverted towards other topics. But once I have received credible information about this alliance, I'll speak about that. Mihari has joined too. He wants me to start the talk about Tigray. Yeah, this is the topic of today's live chat. Tigray. Why is there sudden flare-up of tensions between the two sides, Tigray interim government and Ethiopian federal government? Is it surprising, or has it been on the cards for some time? And what is happening now, it shouldn't be seen as sudden development. What Tigray said yesterday was alarming, by the way. So the statement was about humanitarian crisis unfolding in Tigray, but I think Tigray threatened Ethiopian government yesterday. Tigray's statement was basically a threat. Tigray linked the humanitarian situation deterioration in the region to regional and national peace, security, and stability. That is what was surprising for me. Why did Tigray say that if the situation in Tigray is not resolved, humanitarian disaster is not countered, it could pose a serious threat to peace stability on regional national level? That I think started that led to some uh, uneasiness in Addis Ababa. And that is why we saw a strong message from Addis Ababa, from PM Abiy's government today. PM Abiy's government today, again, did not pull any punches. For the first time, it uh, accused Tigray government that Tigray government has not disbanded TDF so far. That tens of thousands of armed fighters are being given food. So while a party, a group which is feeding tens of thousands of fighters has no morals to talk about hunger in Tigray. It means that Ethiopian federal government wants TDF to be disbanded. And Ethiopian federal government is not happy with what Tigray is doing. Tigray has not completely disbanded the TDF. Tigray has not completely handed over the weapons, small arms of the Tigray Defense Force. So last 48 or 24-hour statements indicate that there are very serious unresolved issues between the two sides. Tigray threatened there could be new security situation in Ethiopia and which could have regional impact if the famine is not countered. It was a way of saying that Tigray would be forced to take up arms. It would be forced to resort to military option because its people are dying. And the government responded by threatening Tigray, by accusing Tigray that Tigray government, Tigray party, they are they're maintaining a big military, and that Tigray is the region which has received the most. It has received. It is one of those regions which have been given the maximum food aid support from the federal government. That is why I say, by the way, that there is no new war imminent between Abiy and Isaias, between Ethiopia and Eritrea. Why? Because Abiy has no allies. Again, we are going a bit off topic, but Abiy was hoping that Tigray would be on its side, but last 24-hour statements indicate that there are some serious unresolved issues between the Tigray region and Ethiopian federal. Amharas, they have already rejected the idea of a new war. Oromia split. I'm not talking about the economic crisis. I'm talking about unity in Ethiopia for a new war, for a new military offensive to gain access to the Red Sea. That unity is missing. Again, I would say that the flexing of muscles by the Prime Minister of Ethiopia is a move to put pressure upon neighboring countries. There are serious internal challenges for the Ethiopian Prime Minister, which is finding difficult to overcome. So the news from Tigray, Mihar, is that maybe Tigray government is running out of patience. It knows that federal government is not honoring some of its commitments. Commitment about return of IDPs, commitment about decision of future status of Volkayat Marasag Raya, commitment about demobilization of TDF members, commitment about funding for demobilization of Tigray fighters, commitment about the provision of food aid to the people of Tigray. Tigray running out of patience. And the federal government is showing no flexibility. It proposed a solution to the deadlock between Tigray and Amhara. That solution was almost rejected by Tigray interim government, TPLF, as well. The federal government is also in no mood to show flexibility towards Tigray. So I see rising of tensions between Tigray region and Ethiopian federal government in coming days. I'm not saying that a war is going to break out, but Pretoria only silenced guns. Main issues remained unresolved. Main issues are still unresolved. That is why Tigray is threatening, and that is why federal government is firing back. That is why for peace, for lasting peace in Ethiopia, there must be uh, follow-up negotiations. Pretoria is not sufficient for lasting peace in Ethiopia. Otherwise, things could revert to armed hostilities. That is what I fear. Vadi Afla has joined today. Muni Muni has been missing him, and today Muni Muni is missing. Abraham says, Sajid, gun and bullet trade on contraband basis of ID common in Ethiopia. Clandestine traders always mobilize from one region to the other to bring guns from Tigray to Amhara region. It was being suggested, it was being propagated as if Tigray was behind the delivery of that arms shipment which entered Amhara region. Yes, you're right. There could be arms smuggling operating. It does not mean that Tigray government was behind the sending of that ship. So that is why I say we don't have any credible, reliable information to conclude that Tigray has decided to join hands with Fano fighters. I think these days, by the way, Fano groups, Amhara groups are more eager to strike alliance with Tigray, with TPLF. Why? Because obviously they need allies. They have no allies. Amhara Fano fighters try to find allies. Since the start of their movement, they have been trying to find allies. In southern Ethiopia, we saw some demonstrations. People spoke in support of Fano fighters. Then we heard that maybe Mustafa Omar could be an asset for Fano fighters, and Fano fighters could get support from Somalia. It did not happen. Support from afar not coming. Support from Benishangal Gomas not coming. But from Oromia coming to some extent only by those who are Amharas living in border areas of Oromia, some of which are Amhara majority areas. So Fano fighters have no allies in Ethiopia. They're badly in need of allies. They want ADF to be their partners in removing the Prime Minister. Interestingly, I was at a show, I was being interviewed by a journalist yesterday, and he asked a question about likely Fano Ola alliance. Fano groups would welcome Ola too at this point of time, it seems. This alliance, obviously, no possibility of this alliance. But Fano fighters want allies. And no one at this point of time is ready to be with Fano. Because Fano fighters are facing a military operation, air operation is ongoing. So whoever decides to join Fano obviously will be the target of similar military operation. I don't think that any Ethiopian armed group is ready to uh, join Fano as an ally. So Fano fighters are more eager for this alliance. This interest from Tigray for alliance with Fano is nowhere to be seen. For me, it's nowhere to be seen. Beaver says, Sajid, how do you think peace will happen in all of Ethiopia? And uh, I got your question. Yes, I think even a beginner can tell what is the road, what is the means to achieve peace and stability in Ethiopia. Ethiopia needs a comprehensive, broad, internal engagement with inclusion of all the parties, armed groups, political parties, opposition parties, prosperity party, church, Ethiopian military. One day, all will have to sit and reach a new agreement for a better, cohesive, prosperous Ethiopia. The problem is that those who are in power, they don't want to share this power with others too. PP wants to rule the country. PP does not want to share the power with opposition, with other groups in Ethiopia. That is why this unity is missing. So anyone can see that this is the way forward. One point about Addis Kana Tube has joined after break of few days. Welcome, Addis Kana Tube. Said hi, Sajid. I was so busy and could not follow your live. I will try next, brother. Thank you for joining, Addis Kana Tube. Warm welcome to you. Do you think Ethiopia is the next Yugoslavia? 206 Sheikh says several people are comparing Ethiopia to Yugoslavia. That Ethiopia is going to break up like Yugoslavia. I don't agree with this theory, and I have done some videos. Did a video a few days ago. I don't think that Ethiopia is going to split. The forces which can bind Ethiopia together are strong by force. Ethiopian country will stay as one country. And there are then other reasons to it. A 15-minute long video. You can watch that on the channel. So I don't want to repeat myself. I don't see a breakup of Ethiopia. General Komsa says to Ababa, TDF will not ally with Fano. They will look to Ola before thinking of Fano. Yeah, Komsa, but Ola TDF alliance is not possible, by the way. Ola TDF are removed. They were only in a position to form alliance when TDF was in North Shore, Oromia Special Zone in 2021. They formed an alliance, political alliance, military alliance. But the alliance did not work. When they were so close, that alliance could not materialize into getting results. So how can now there be an alliance between Ola and TDF and it could work? Fano and TDF are closer in terms of geography. So if they decide to join hands, obviously this alliance could be more threatening. But as I said earlier, I don't see, I have not any, I haven't seen any credible information about interest shown by Tigray about this. Michael Essefa says, prove me wrong, Ethiopia is rapidly becoming a failed state. Whether it is becoming a failed state or it is defaulting, whatever is happening, it's not going to break up. And there are states in worse conditions than Ethiopia, still they are surviving. Somalia survived with one third of its territory under the control of an armed group, and several other countries too. Wise is best has shared a wise comment saying Tigray's best choice is to go make Eritrea pay the price in preparation for the damage it caused. You want why is your that you want Tigray to go to war against Eritrea? Tigray is fighting for survival, man. People are dying there. There is humanitarian crisis there. Different type of crises there. At this point of time, Tigray does not want to start a war, but it wants to feed its people too. It does not want to disband its military as well. So how will Tigray come out of this crisis? That remains to be seen. Amhara Art says Tigray asks for return of IDPs, and Fano can do that. So it can benefit both. Tigray just it does not just want return of IDPs; it wants the area as well. It wants full Volgayet. وما رسائل كورة من الماتا. Will Fano agree to this type of arrangement that Tigray should be back in control of these territories? In Sermotaya, any chance of for TPLF to work with Fano? I have spoken on that a few minutes ago. I spoke on that. No credible information. But I'll try to speak in detail on that in coming videos. Irritian Post says, and TPLF didn't cause the crisis, Sajid. Don't they start the war with all its neighbors and loot the WFP? Who started the war is another debate. Who was making preparations? It always takes two to tango, I say. So you can't just blame TPLF for the war. Horn analyst has joined. Welcome, Horn analyst. Marcos says, Brother Sajid, hope power is given to the people. That is the only peace can come to the region. Yeah, power is given to people through people's representatives. And for that, you need to have democratic reforms in the country, respect for fundamental rights, freedom of media. All that means that power is being given to people. But is it happening? Any progress towards power being transferred to the people of Ethiopia? No. Tom Boone says, read my upcoming question, Brother Sajid. How can I read your upcoming question? I can read after you have written the question. Sultan Ahmed said, your information always true. You are gentleman. Thank you. Ifani Ahmed said, congratulations, Fano Sajid, on your interview with Fano Mogus. Well, Mogus did not stop me from speaking. Interview was live. I was able to express myself freely. He did not interrupt me. So I don't know who he supports. I don't care about that. But I think, and he did not edit my answers. I am open to interviews. By the way, it's difficult for me to take time out for interviews, and mostly I avoid interviews because my work on my channel is disturbed. Otherwise, anyone who wants to interview me, I'm here. Whether the news source is pro Fano, anti Fano, pro Ola, anti Ola, pro Erati, anti Erati, I have no problem with that. But the interview should be live and it should not be edited. Samuel Falek says, Happy New Year, Sajid, to you and all Ethiopians. Steve Irwin says, Sajid, so it's definitely a bad idea to invest in Ethiopia then. Well, the biggest investment in Ethiopia recently has come through Safaricom. Safaricom's investment in Ethiopian telecom sector. So, how does Safaricom see its investment in Ethiopia? Darny says, I am also a member. Read my comment. Darny, you are not a member, I think, but I am here to read your comments. Uh, Safaricom is not happy with its investment. It's facing problems, and its assessment of the investment in Ethiopia is not very encouraging for others. And keeping in view the precarious security situation, which investor would risk his investments? No one would invest millions of US dollars because conflict can happen in any part of Ethiopia now. Fighting in Oromia, fighting in Amhara, Tigray, uh, devastated, but still you don't know what is going to happen tomorrow there. How can big investors risk investing millions of US dollars in Ethiopia? Araya Bollekidan's comment is very important. He says the immature Abi stands alone and it is not like that of 2020. Well, maybe let's suppose that though we pray that there is no new war in Ethiopia. Let's suppose that a new war breaks out between Tigray and Ethiopian federal government. So, will Abiy be alone, or anti-TPLF forces will join Abiy? maybe they'll join Abiy. So things will change. Picture will change. This picture which you're seeing now, it could change in case of start of war. But let's hope, let's pray there is no new war. Bacha Garbi says, is geography or ideology more relevant to make alliance? Well, when it comes to military alliance, obviously geography matters. Uh, and politically, alliance can be made between Ola and PDF. But what can this alliance do? Because there cannot be any joint action by the two sides. No joint decisions can be made. It would be difficult to achieve results because the two are not connected. Two groups are not connected. Ideology matters definitely, but I think geography matters too. Lydia is asking question. Sajid, there is any hope Fano will be in Addis Ababa? Please let us know. Fano, Fano's first goal is Bahirdar now. If it cannot capture Bahirdar, it can never think of moving towards Addis Ababa. It will have to do something about it, Bahirdar first. Can it capture Bahirdar or can it make Bahirdar totally dysfunctional? It's trying, so far it has not happened. If somehow it managed to be the main player, the strongest player in Amhara, then obviously it can push towards Addis Ababa. So far, Pano is fighting for its survival and it is trying to be a player in the Amhara region. It maybe it wants to be uh, in charge of Bahirdar, or it wants a totally destabilized Amhara region and regional capital Bahita. After that, it might consider moving towards Addis. Addis is stated goal of Fano fighters, but so far no signs of Fano reaching Addis, I think. Yumeskan says, Sadid, you zabardast. Thank you, Yumeskan. Someone is again asking about breakup of Ethiopia. Do you think Balkanization is imminent? By the way, different types of scenarios are being built in social media these days. Some of these scenarios are firstly, Ethiopia could split first. Ethiopia is going to be a failed state. Ethiopia is going to default. Ethiopia, then alliances. Alliance between Fano and TDF, between Fano and Ola, between Ola, Fano, and TDF against Abiy. So these types of imaginary scenarios are being shared in social media without any uh, movement, any progress on the ground, which could indicate that it could happen. Maybe people are creating these scenarios just because they want to be seen uh, as far-sighted, as uh, and sometimes for views too. We people do this type of thing. Otherwise, we should base our analysis on the information which we receive from the ground. That is what genuine analysis is, that it's based on some information. Information might not be 100% correct, but it should be largely reliable. Without having any uh, logic and ground, we should not build any imaginary scenarios, I think. Core Nebri says, "Hello, Sajid. I wish you more success in the coming new year." Thank you. Stay blessed, Core Nebri. Now, another scenario from Partha. Is Ethiopia very soon going to face like Myanmar, civil war-like situation? Isn't military in command there? I think military staged a coup in Myanmar. Steve Irwin says current situation on Ethiopian bird, no improvement. I think still in black market, $1 for more than 110 birds. In an official exchange rate, around 55, I think. So no improvement. It could decline more, I think. Yeah, Tom Boom is confirming that Myanmar, military junta is in power. I think maybe he was talking about Sri Lanka. There was a chaos-like situation in Sri Lanka a few months ago. On analyst says, "Hi, Sajid, it is impossible. KDF launch attacks on PP when Tigray is on verge of famine. Is it possible?" I think you're asking a question. Yes, that is what I spoke on in the first part of this live chat, that yesterday's statement from Tigray was a threat from Tigray, that Tigray will be forced to resort to military option if there is no action to counter the drought and famine in Tigray. But will Tigray do that? Is Tigray going to implement its threat? Too early to say, but I think the statements of last 24 hours, statements by Tigray government, Ethiopian federal government, indicate there are unresolved issues between the two sides, which could lead to rising of tension between the two sides in coming days. We were saying a few months ago that Tigray could be a junior partner of Oromo ruling elite. But it seems that even this alliance is difficult to materialize because the issues between Tigray and federal government are unresolved. That is why Tigray does not want to be part of a bigger alliance with the federal government now. Thank you, Steve Irwin, for this contribution, financial contribution. You bought this sticker. Thank you. Gebre Selassie, you're always talking about old events. Thank you, Michael Essefa, for this financial contribution. Gebre Selassie says, you're always reporting about old events. Which old event did I report in this live chat? I'm talking about last 24-hour statements, which are very important statements, which could lead to uh, some changes in coming days. That is what we should do. We should analyze statements. We should analyze the current developments, which have the potential of having a future impact. No, Samuel, I just wanted to talk about Tigray today because the last 24 hours developments are alarming for me. I have not seen this type of tone adopted by Tigray government and Ethiopian federal government in the last 1 year or so. It was November last year when the two sides reached the deal, Pretoria deal. Since then, they have been respecting each other, appreciating each other, but things are now changing. The last 24-hour statements are alarming for me. And I think the statement should be alarming for those who wish that there is peace and stability in Ethiopia. One important comment from Iskahun: TDF should solve Raya Volkite problem directly with Fano. Yes, it should happen, by the way. But Fano is not only party to Volkite issue. Just TDF and Fano cannot reach an agreement about the status of Volkite and Raya. ENDF is there too. It means federal government is there too. Federal government can upset a likely or a deal between TDF and Fano. But the two should at least talk, that they should talk how to resolve the conflict. Mahari says, "Hi Sajid, I admire you. I wish you all the best with for your family." Thank you, Mahari. Wadi Eritrea says, "Massawa port should be open for Tigray." Steve Irwin is asking about how safe is Addis Ababa currently. Well, it depends on who you are. I mean, if you talk about Eritreans, they are facing problems in the capital city. There are definitely issues. If you talk about Amhara people living there, and by the way, there is large Amhara population there. But if conflicts in Amhara region goes on and some movements emerge in Addis Ababa, Amharas living there could be uh, in trouble. Like we saw the announcement by a movement, Addis Ababa social movement, regarding displaying of banners in support of Fano. It means that if it goes on and some groups emerge in Addis Ababa could become unsafe for some groups, especially for those Amharas who maybe have soft corner for the Fano groups. But if you talk about foreigners, I think Addis Ababa is safe. I have not heard about any crime committed against foreigners, against tourists, and no major threat of any big attack in Addis Ababa. I don't think that Addis Ababa is under threat in terms of attack from Fano, in terms of attack from Ola. And some big events have been organized in Addis Ababa recently. Marathon was held here, and some other big events too. And security forces were able to provide security to these big gatherings. Birhan Hale, you did not react mine. Maybe you're saying you did not answer my question. What did you say? I have not read your question. Rick Kick says, Sajid, you're not reading comments about Fano. Which comment about Fano have not been read so far? Vedi Ofla says, Sajid, you should appear on Al Jazeera as well. I saw an article today. I read an article written for Al Jazeera. I think it was written by Zikriya Zilalam, an Ethiopian journalist. Zikriya has been writing for Al Jazeera for years. And there are some other journalists too who have connections, I think. They are in touch with the people there. They're paid to. So I am not very eager, by the way, to be on news channels because I like the independence to speak. Here I have the independence to speak. I can talk to you, you can talk to me. No one is going to edit my talk. Biggest problem is that you don't know about the agenda of the big channels, agenda of the other news outlets when they invite you. You have to be very careful while you are there. And there are a few journalists who have been appearing on Al Jazeera and other news outlets for years. They have connections, I think, there. And people like Theodore Sturfe from AAA and people from other advocacy groups as well. They also appear on Al Jazeera, etc. How? Because they do maneuvering, some lobbying is done by them as well. So I am not uh, interested in appearing on big channels just to be famous. I think people know me, and it does not matter how many people know me. What matters is that I should be able to speak freely. Now, Geese has come with another scenario. Sajid, how long do you think the PP Oromoma government will survive once Southern Tigray and Eritrea form an alliance? Once TPLF TDF create alliance with Eritrea. Another scenario. TDF alliance with Eritrea. What do you think states and countries adopt genocide as a policy and why people support genocide? Well, by the way, so far, genocide has not been determined. There are some criteria which are used to declare that genocide has been committed in a region, in a country, like it was committed in Rwanda, I think. But all complain about genocide. Tigrayans complain to Amharas complain as well. Some groups in Romi as well. All use the term genocide. So far, no international organization or body has confirmed that genocide was committed in Ethiopia in the last 2 or 3 years. This term is used by different groups to support their narratives. Like the government uses a term to launch a crackdown on opposition parties, and that is that uh, work was being done, activities were being done to overthrow the constitutional order. A coup was in the making. Government uses the term coup to crush opposition parties. These two terms, coup and genocide, are used by groups in power and opposition to further their narratives. But basically, no coup in Ethiopia in the last 2 to 3 years, and no genocide according to international standards. Mesfin Kibru says, Sadi, do you say anything? Can you say anything about your educational background? I don't remember what I studied, by the way. Uh, it was well, more than 20 years ago when I went to university, I think. More than 23 years ago. And what I'm doing has no connection with my education, by the way. I studied international law, I studied civil subjects. I don't remember exactly. What I'm doing now, it's my passion. That is how I learned about Ethiopia, Eritrea. It's not about my educational background. It was 57 minutes have passed. I think we should end this live chat session. It was good to be with you. Always good to be with you in these live chats. Thank you for joining. Today we talked about the rising of tensions between the Tigray regional government and Ethiopian federal government. Some strong statements have been exchanged in the past 24 hours. Let's hope there is de-escalation. Let's hope that international community and the two sides lower the temperature and the de-escalate the situation. Tigray is threatening that if there is no intervention, humanitarian intervention, maybe it would be forced to resort to military means. Federal government is not stepping back as well. It leveled allegations against Tigray about EDF that Tigray is still keeping a big military. Let's see what happens in the coming days. Thank you for watching. Stay blessed. See you tomorrow, viewers. Bye bye.